Arctic air diving straight from the North Pole is about to slam into 70-plus American cities within the next 12 hours. If you live east of the Mississippi River, what happens in the next 72 hours could determine whether you restuck at home or stranded on the highway. Right now, snow is already falling in the Carolinas. In 6 hours, it hits Virginia. By tomorrow morning, the entire I-95 corridor from Florida to Maine will be under winter weather alerts. This is not a drill. Here's what you need to know in the next 30 seconds. Charlotte could see 2 inches of snow by 4 a.m. tomorrow. Raleigh, Elizabeth City, and Rocky Mount are looking at 1 to 2 inches with a coating of ice. Philadelphia gets hit Friday afternoon. Boston sees accumulating snow by Friday night. But the real story, the temperature drop coming this weekend could be the coldest air mass of the entire winter season. Comment below with your city right now. I am giving specific timing for over 70 locations, and you need to know exactly when this hits your neighborhood. Let us start with the Carolinas and Virginia because snow is literally falling as we speak. Columbia, South Carolina saw rain this afternoon. That rain is about to change to snow. By 8 p.m. tonight, scattered snow showers develop along the Virginia-North Carolina border. Danville, Virginia, you are first. Snow starts between 7 and 9 p.m. tonight. Charlotte, North Carolina. Here's your timeline. Light snow begins around midnight. Heaviest snow between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. Thursday morning. You could wake up to 1 to 2 inches on grassy surfaces. Gastonia, same timeline. Snow tapers off by 9 a.m. Thursday. Raleigh, North Carolina. Snow mixes in around 2 a.m. Thursday. Continues through 8 a.m. 1 inch possible, maybe 2 in spots, but here's the twist. Eastern Raleigh toward Rocky Mount and Elizabeth City, you are dealing with ice. A glaze of ice up to 1/10 of an inch forms between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m. Thursday. Roads will be slick. Elizabeth City, Rocky Mount, Wilson, Greenville. Ice is your main concern. Freezing rain develops after 3 a.m., continues until 9 a.m. Thursday. Not enough for power outages, but enough to make every road surface dangerously slick. Jacksonville, North Carolina down to Wilmington. You are on the southern edge. A coating of snow is possible, but ice is more likely. 1/10 of an inch glaze between 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. Thursday. Now the Tri-Cities of Tennessee, Kingsport, Johnson City, Bristol. You are in a sweet spot for snow. 2 to 3 inches possible tonight into Thursday morning. Snow begins around 9 p.m. tonight, heaviest between midnight and 6 a.m. Thursday. Knoxville, Tennessee, 1 to 2 inches likely. Snow starts around 10 p.m. tonight, Asheville, North Carolina, and the mountains. 2 to 4 inches in the higher elevations. Snow begins by 8 p.m. tonight, continues through Thursday morning. Virginia Beach and Norfolk. 1 inch of snow likely by Thursday morning. Snow begins around 3 a.m., ends by 10 a.m. Richmond, Virginia, coating to 1 inch. Snow develops around 2 a.m. Thursday. Now here's what nobody is talking about. This is just round 1. There's a second system and it's bigger. Friday morning, a clipper system drops out of Canada. This one targets the Midwest and Northeast. Detroit, you are first in line. Detroit, Michigan. Snow begins Friday morning around 6 a.m. 2 to 4 inches likely by Friday evening. Heaviest snow between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Friday, Cleveland, Ohio. Snow starts around 8 a.m. Friday, 2 to 3 inches expected through Friday afternoon, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Snow develops by 10 a.m. Friday, 1 to 3 inches likely, Columbus, Ohio. Snow begins around 9 a.m. Friday, 1 to 2 inches possible. Now this system strengthens as it moves east. By Friday afternoon, it is cranking, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Snow begins Friday afternoon around 3 p.m. 2 to 4 inches possible Friday night into Saturday morning. This could impact your Saturday morning plans. Scranton and Allentown, Pennsylvania, 3 to 5 inches likely. Snow begins Friday afternoon, continues through Saturday morning. Northeastern Pennsylvania could see some of the highest totals. New York City. Snow begins Friday evening around 6 p.m. 2 to 4 inches possible overnight into Saturday. Northern New Jersey. Same timeline as New York. Accumulations up to 4 inches in spots. Boston, Massachusetts. Snow begins Friday night around 9 p.m. This system could bring 3 to 6 inches to the Boston metro by Saturday afternoon. Cape Cod could see even higher amounts. Portland, Maine. Snow begins late Friday night, 4 to 8 inches possible through Saturday. This is significant snow for coastal Maine, Burlington, Vermont. 6 to 10 inches possible. Snow begins Friday afternoon, continues through Saturday. Lake effect could boost totals. Syracuse and Rochester, New York, 4 to 8 inches. Snow begins Friday afternoon. Albany, New York, 3 to 6 inches. Snow begins Friday evening. Hartford, Connecticut, 2 to 4 inches. Snow begins Friday night. Providence, Rhode Island, 3 to 5 inches. Snow begins Friday night, but wait, there's more. This system becomes a coastal low. Pressure drops to 986 millibars Saturday morning. That S-nor'easter strength, it stays far enough offshore that the worst impacts stay over the ocean. But coastal areas from Massachusetts to Maine will see feisty snow bands Saturday afternoon. Now let's talk about the deep freeze. Remember at the start I mentioned Arctic air from the North Pole? Here's the timing. This weekend, Saturday and Sunday, brutal cold locks in. We are talking temperatures 20 to 30 degrees below average across the entire eastern United States. Chicago, Illinois. High temperatures Saturday and Sunday only reach the teens. Wind chills near 0 or below. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Highs in the single digits. Wind chills 15 to 25 below 0. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Highs around 15 degrees. Wind chills sub-0. Indianapolis, Indiana. Highs in the low 20s. Coldest air in weeks. St. Louis, Missouri. Highs in the mid-20s Saturday and Sunday. Nashville, Tennessee. Highs in the low 30s, well below average. Atlanta, Georgia. Highs in the upper 30s to low 40s. That is cold for Atlanta. Birmingham, Alabama. Highs in the upper 30s. Memphis, Tennessee. Highs in the low 30s. Little Rock, Arkansas. Highs around 30 degrees. Dallas, Texas. You are staying milder, but temperatures drop into the 40s this weekend, y'all. But here's the good news at minute 5, just like I promised. This cold doesn't last forever. In fact, a major pattern change is coming. Next week, specifically Tuesday and Wednesday, February 10th and 11th, a ridge of high pressure builds across the eastern United States. This is a massive dome of warmer air. Temperatures will swing 25 to 30 degrees warmer than this weekend. Cities that see highs in the 20s this weekend could see highs in the 50s next week. Washington, D.C., highs this weekend in the low 30s. Next Wednesday, highs near 60 degrees. That S a 30-degree swing in 4 days. Charlotte, North Carolina. Highs this weekend, upper 30s. Next week, highs could hit the low 60s. Raleigh, North Carolina. Same story. Upper 30s this weekend, near 60 next Wednesday. Atlanta. Highs in the low 40s this weekend, jumping to the mid-60s next week. Cincinnati, Ohio. 20s this weekend, 50s next week. Louisville, Kentucky. Upper 20s this weekend, mid-50s next week. Kansas City, Missouri. Low 30s this weekend, mid-50s next week. Omaha, Nebraska. Teens this weekend, 40s next week. Des Moines, Iowa. Teens this weekend, upper 40s next week. But here is the plot twist. When you get a pattern flip this dramatic, with a ridge in the east and a trough developing in the west, that is the classic setup for a significant storm system around Valentine's Day. Models are showing a potential mid-latitude cyclone developing near the Rockies around February 13th through 15th. This could bring a mix of severe weather to the south and winter weather to the north. It's too early for specifics, but this is worth watching. Denver, Colorado. You could see the initial system develop near you around February 13th. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Severe weather potential mid-next week. Wichita, Kansas. Same time frame for potential severe weather. Now let's cover cities I haven't mentioned yet. Jacksonville, Florida. You stay mild through this whole pattern. Highs in the 60s this weekend, 70s next week. Orlando, Florida. 70s all week. Tampa, Florida. Mid-70s to near 80 degrees. Miami, Florida, 80s all week. You are unaffected. New Orleans, Louisiana, 50s this weekend, 60s to low 70s next week. Houston, Texas, 60s this weekend, 70s next week. San Antonio, Texas, 60s this weekend, 70s next week. Phoenix, Arizona, you are in the warm sector, 70s this weekend, 80s next week. Las Vegas, Nevada, 60s all week. Los Angeles, California, 60s to 70s. You are staying nice. San Francisco, California, mid-50s to low 60s. Seattle, Washington. You could see some of that energy drop in as a trough next week. Rain likely mid to late next week. Portland, Oregon. Same story as Seattle. Rain develops next week. Salt Lake City, Utah, 30s and 40s this week. Then a system possible next week. Boise, Idaho. Same pattern as Salt Lake. Billings, Montana. Cold air locked in through the weekend. Highs in the 20s. Warming to the 40s next week. Fargo, North Dakota. Brutal cold this weekend. Highs near 0. Wind chills dangerous. Warming to the 30s next week. Rapid City, South Dakota. 20s this weekend, 40s next week, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Teens this weekend, 40s next week, Grand Rapids, Michigan. 20s this weekend, then that Friday snow system. 40s next week, Buffalo, New York. Lake effect snow possible Friday and Saturday, 3 to 6 inches. Highs in the 20s this weekend, 40s next week, Charleston, West Virginia. 1 to 2 inches of snow Thursday night into Friday from that first system. 30s this weekend, 50s next week, Huntington, West Virginia. Same timeline as Charleston, Lexington, Kentucky, coating to 1 inch Thursday. 30s this weekend, 50s next week, Evansville, Indiana. 20s this weekend, 50s next week, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Snow possible Friday. 20s this weekend, 40s next week, Dayton, Ohio. 1 to 2 inches Friday. 20s this weekend, 50s next week, Akron, Ohio. 2 to 3 inches Friday. 20s this weekend, 40s next week, Toledo, Ohio. 2 to 4 inches Friday. 20s this weekend, 40s next week, Erie, Pennsylvania. Lake effect could bring 4 to 8 inches Friday into Saturday. 20s this weekend, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. 1 to 3 inches Friday night. 30s this weekend, 50s next week, Trenton, New Jersey. 1 to 3 inches Friday night into Saturday. 30s this weekend, 50s next week, Wilmington, Delaware. 1 to 2 inches Friday night. 30s this weekend, 50s next week, Baltimore, Maryland. 1 to 2 inches Friday night. 30s this weekend, near 60 next week, Atlantic City, New Jersey. 2 to 4 inches Saturday as that coastal low passes. 30s this weekend. Here's what you need to do right now. Comment your city below. I'll give you the exact timing for your location if I haven't covered it yet. The weather pattern over the next 10 days is active and changes rapidly. You need hyper-local information. Stock up today if you haven't already. Bread, milk, batteries, flashlights. The snow Thursday is manageable, but Friday's system for the Northeast is more significant. If you re-traveling this weekend, delays are likely at airports from Chicago to Boston. Plan accordingly. Next video drops tomorrow. I'll have updated snowfall maps and the latest on that potential Valentine S-Day storm system. The models are starting to come into agreement on something significant. You're going to want to see this. One more thing. If you're in the Midwest or Northeast and you've been quiet this winter, your pattern is about to get active. After this weekend's cold, we re-entering a more stormy pattern. Multiple systems are possible through late February. Stay safe, stay warm, and comment your location below for your personalized